the New York Yankees are horrendous right now. This is well beyond a tough stretch. This is not a couple of games. This is not just, oh, every season, every team goes through ups and downs. The New York Yankees are the worst team in baseball right now. And there's numbers to back this up, and there's not much that I see changing in the immediate future. I don't see how they can turn it around. Yeah, it was a bad stretch at first. It's gone from far worse than that. This team hasn't won a series since the series that started June 9th, almost a month ago, against the Kansas City Royals. They've lost now 6 consecutive series after getting swept by the Reds and getting absolutely embarrassed on the 4th of July at home in the day game against the Reds today. The Yankees are now 5-14 in their last 19 games. That is, since June 13th, they've won 5 games, 5-14. The worst record in Major League Baseball since that Kansas City Royals series. This is not just a couple of games. This is 3 weeks of awful baseball. And it's on every level. What does this team do well? The pitching, the starting pitching has come back down to earth. Carlos Rodon, when you need him most, shows his true colors. Luis Gil is inconsistent, and the team won't let him work through his issues. Now, I think he has the stuff. There are a lot of positives still with Luis Gil, amazingly. And maybe we'll have time to get into it at some point. Not really what I'm trying to do right now. But he is losing his way a little bit. You saw it today. Stroman didn't have it. Nestor, we know what he is. He's not great. Rodon still, Garrett Cole still not fully back to himself. The bullpen shot. Who's good in the bullpen? Our most reliable guys in the bullpen outside of the closer who is iffy, Clay Holmes. The Yankees are then looking at guys like Weaver. That's who you're relying on in the bullpen. Michael Tonkin, who was DFA twice this year. That's the second to most reliable guy in this bullpen. I think he is. That's a problem. They don't defend very well. We saw Trent Grisham with the lazy play, which is consistent across the board with the Yankees in the Aaron Boone era, that they just make lackadaisical plays. They don't run the bases well. We saw them get thrown out at the plate again today. That was Verdugo, again, another guy who no one's held accountable in this era. Finally, Boone reached his breaking point. He held a couple of guys accountable because they were standing outside the dugout. It's like, get back in here, because they were doing that standoff thing. I agree. They shouldn't be doing that down 8-4 or whatever the score was at the time. Yeah, I get that. In the midst of the worst stretch of the Yankee season, actually the worst stretch of any team in baseball this season. So yeah, wrap it up, Boone. You held a couple guys accountable. We saw it for the first time. This is awful. They don't hit outside of Aaron Judge. And Juan Soto gets on base, but he doesn't hit anymore. They don't run the bases well. They don't field. They don't pitch. They have a terrible bullpen. What is this team good at? Their manager, I don't think, is very good. The same issues keep popping up with him for the last 6 years now. When's enough? And this is revealing. In the Yankees' wins this year, 54 of them. They're still 20 games over 500, which is incredible. We'll get to that in a second. Aaron Judge is batting .380 with 23 home runs, 63 RBIs, and then .854 slugging. In their 34 losses this year, Aaron Judge is batting .216, 9 home runs, 20 RBIs, and a .474 slugging. I don't want to focus on the losses, the numbers in the losses for a second, but look at the numbers in the wins. Basically, in order for the Yankees to win games, they need Aaron Judge to be the greatest hitter, a .380 hitter in baseball history. They need him to drive in 63 runs in 54 games just for them to win. They need Aaron Judge to be otherworldly. Well, Rami, this year's different. They brought in Juan Soto. They'll turn it around. This is just a rough patch. This is not the same as 22. It's not the same as last year. They have Juan Soto. Have you been watching? Juan Soto sucked in San Diego. He was great, but the team stunk. And by the way, there was more talent on that San Diego team than there is on this Yankee roster. Machado, Tatis, all those guys were out there too. And they didn't win shit. Because guess what? It's not about one guy. And I was one of those people. I thought the Juan Soto effect, he changed it. It was different. I saw it early in the season. I was wrong. This team needs help. This team is not a good baseball team. They're not this bad. They're not as good as they were early in the season, but they're closer to this. They're closer to the 82-80 team that they were last year than they were to the 100-win team that they looked like early in the season. The Orioles lap them. The Mariners are better than them. The Rangers are better than them. The Astros, who are hot again, by the way, they're not going anywhere. They're not laying down. They're better than them. The New York Mets are better than the New York Yankees. Think about it. We talked about it. Let's break it down to the category. The Mets have a way better offense. Their offense is one of the best in baseball. I know they're struggling a little bit lately. Mets, I'll give them the offense. Definitely better. The Mets bullpen, as bad as it is probably better. Yeah, that's a crazy statement. It's probably better. You look at the Mets, you have a couple guys you rely on. I like Butto, what they can do putting him in the bullpen. Diekman sucks, sure, but Reed Garrett's not bad. This kid Nunez is really good. And obviously when Diaz comes back, we'll see how that works out. Not terrible in the bullpen. The Mets defense, 1,000 times better across the board. They run the bases well. And their starting pitching, tell me it's much worse than Garrett Cole, nothing and nobody. Kodai Senga's coming back. Throws 2 2/3 innings, strikes out 6. No runs, no hits, no walks, no errors. He was great. He's on the mend. This Yankee team is awful. I don't see a way out of it. Their infield is terrible. And to just rely and say, well, Verdugo's going to get going again. He was good early in the year. Volpe will get going again. He was good early in the year. LeMahieu, look at what LeMahieu's been his whole career. Gleyber Torres will revert. Don't worry, Anthony Rizzo's coming back from injury. Maybe Jose Trevino will learn how to throw guys out at second. It's enough of relying and waiting and just hoping that things will go well. It's time to make moves. This is the quote all-in year for the Yankees. I've talked about this from the moment they said that, from the moment they traded for Juan Soto. They say they're all in. They've not done anything to prove they're all in. Make a move. Do something drastic. We've seen trades. Aaron Savali was traded. Trades are already starting in Major League Baseball. Shane Baz can come up, by the way, and dominate for the Rays. That's who's replacing Aaron Savali. It's time to make something happen, Brian Cashman. It's time. This is the only time. Because if this season falls apart after the start they had, similar to 2022, Boone's not surviving it. Cashman may not survive it. They definitely don't I wouldn't come back if I were Juan Soto. Sure, when things were going good, it was going great. This is awful now. And this is not just a blip on the radar. There's ways to turn it around. Like I said, I think part of what we saw early in the season, they can get back there. They have to make huge moves. This is not trading for, I don't know. Oh, well, John Birdie will come up and JD Davis will start to hit a little bit. This is not dumpster diving. They need help across the board. They have so many holes. And Aaron Boone is just another case where Aaron Boone proves that when things start to go downhill, when things start to turn, he cannot stop it. He cannot turn it around. He cannot grab this team and get a grip on them. He's not the leader everyone says he is, and he's definitely not the manager anyone thinks he is. This organization right now is a mess. This team is a mess. I can't even blame Aaron Judge. The captain, I won't blame him. He's trying out there. I love when Stroman got in a guy's face, got in Gleyber Torres, because all he said to Gleyber Torres in Toronto was, show a little bit more intensity. Have a little bit of urgency. That's all Yankee fans want from this team. And when you're not hitting, it's impossible, but they find ways to lose. When they hit, they give up a million runs. When they don't give up runs, they can't hit. It's every day, it's something new. And that's what bad teams do. They find ways to lose. And the Yankees keep finding new ways to lose. They keep inventing new lows. I want to talk about NBA free agency too. I do these once in a while. By the way, I haven't been on here because I've been at FAN just wild around the clock, crazy hours, obviously, with the holidays, summer, people off. So I've been there a lot and I'm not complaining. I love it. So finding the time to do these once in a while, still talk about The teams talk about sports and the Yankees who are frustrating me beyond anything. I mean, my God. I'm happy with what the Knicks did. I talked after the OG signing. Paul George went to Philly. He looked like that doesn't move me. I'm sorry. Like they'll be over the second apron. He's basically a better version of Tobias Harris. So yes, it makes Philly better. But at the end of the day, you know what's going to happen in the playoffs? Here's what's going to happen. I'll spoil the suspense for you guys, Philadelphia 76ers fans. Here's exactly what's going to happen. Embiid and Paul George will both miss time in the regular season. Once they get into the playoffs, it's going to be like, oh, they didn't have enough time to ramp up. They're only at 80%. And then magically, when they both disappear in the fourth quarter of a game 6 elimination game at home and they lose, Sixer fans are going to be like, well, if they were healthy, they were at 80%. If they were healthy, we wouldn't have lost. But that's the big reveal. That's what's going to happen this year, Sixers. Hope you're ready for it. Hope you're looking forward to it. Still think the Knicks are the second best team in the East. I really do. Celtics, Knicks. And the Celtics, by the way, just paid everyone. The second apron, and people don't realize this, that's a real hard cap. You can't get guys in the buyout. You can't take on extra salary. You can't use a trade exception. Basically, you're handicapped. You are locked to your team. You're handcuffed. You cannot do any normal roster movement that championship teams do late in the season in order to win that championship. You can't do that if you are over that second apron. So people are like, oh, just blow through the apron, play the fine. It's not about the fine. It's not about a tax. The rules prevent you from doing anything. Your first round pick all of a sudden goes to the last pick in the first round, 30th. I wonder how that works with the trade. Like if the Knicks go over the second apron and they give that first pick to Brooklyn, does Brooklyn get the 30th pick now? Or do they get like, that's an interesting thought that I had. I'm not sure how that works, but anyway, I'm mad about the Yankees. This is probably one of the shorter episodes of these I've done, but man, I don't see a way. Like I said, the way out for the Yankees, they need to make a trade. They need to go get bullpen help. I want to see desperate moves. Yes. I want to see a trade for Vlad Guerrero Jr. I want to see a trade for Mason Miller, whatever that's going to cost. I want the Yankees to prove that they're actually all in. Stop speaking words. Words are empty. Start with action. You can't get swept by the Reds at home. It just can't happen. This team is like, I'm honestly shocked at how bad this team is. All right, cold stretch. They're figuring it out. All right, this is the series in Toronto. They lose the first one. Okay, late flight. Then they win 2 of the next 3. All right, we're coming home. We're starting to right the ship. Day off. Boom, swept by the Reds. God awful. This is not a cold streak. This is a terrible team. There are ways to salvage it. You have some really great players on your team. You have Garrett Cole, you have Juan Soto, you have Aaron Judge. Those are 3 really good building blocks to build around. Now it's just time to build the rest of the team around them. Because guess what? 3 players in Major League Baseball is not enough to win a championship. And right now, the Yankees have 3 players, 3 great players. But that's it. Oh, but Anthony Volpe was so good to start the year. Look at his stats the last month and a half. Gleyber Torres, I'm done waiting for Gleyber Torres to turn it around. He's worthless. He doesn't run the bases. He's lazy. He has a bad attitude. He doesn't play defense. And this year, he doesn't hit. The only thing he was good for was hitting. So if you're not hitting, bench him. Show a little bit of urgency. You know what? Marcus Stroman, get in Aaron Boone's face. Tell him that too. I'm not saying the Yankees should be sellers at the deadline. I'm saying load up. If that means trading Spencer Jones, if that means trading Jason Dominguez, do you want to be all in or blow it up? Choose a lane, Yankees. Look, it's very different for the Mets. I think making the playoffs, a lot of Met fans are like, oh, what's the difference? They should sell anyway because what's making the playoffs worth? You're the Mets. Making the playoffs is worth a lot. The Mets never make the playoffs. Certainly don't do it back-to-back years, 2 out of 3 years. So making the playoffs is a big deal for the Mets. So yes, they should be improving at the deadline. They shouldn't be selling. For the Yankees, making the playoffs is what they do every year. And fizzling out and fading in the playoffs is what they do every year. So if your goal is to just make the playoffs and hey, it's a crapshoot, let's see what happens. Not a good plan anymore. Choose a lane. If you want to blow it up, blow it up. Go trade Juan Soto. I'm serious about that. But I think this team can, with the right additions, go for it. So freaking go for it and stop trying to penny pinch and stop trying to win every trade. Sometimes you need to lose a trade to win a championship. It's true. No one ever cries about the trade that a team made. I don't know. I can't think of one. But like, if years later we find out, or the Matthew Stafford trade, right? If Detroit's good for the next 10 years and the Rams suck, no one's going to be crying in LA about that because you won a freaking Super Bowl. Oh, but they lost the trade because all these picks, look at how much they gave back to Detroit. They got their franchise quarterback. They got this wide receiver. They got that. Doesn't matter. You won a Super Bowl. That's the goal. Sometimes you have to lose a trade to win a championship. The Yankees have to give up a little bit more if that means Spencer Jones, and that means Jason Dominguez, who, by the way, what good are they doing for you right now? If they're that good, bring them up. Let's go. Let's play. They're not that good. At least not yet. And Jason Dominguez now, 2 major injuries in 2 years. So I don't mind overpaying and winning a championship. Go get Vlad. Go get Mason Miller. Go make the big moves. Don't dumpster dive. Don't try and get Jazz Chisholm and Ryan McMahon, which, by the way, would still be better than what they have currently. This Yankee team has a lot of holes. And I think they're bad. I don't. Are you like they're closer to this than what they were earlier in the year? That's what I think. I think they were really hot earlier in the season. I think this team, because I don't trust Rodon. I mean, we don't know what he is. He was otherworldly. I don't think he's that. I think he's closer to this than what he was. We know what Stroman is. He's a rocky ride. The bullpen, there's nobody. And then outside of Aaron Judge and Juan Soto, the offense, this is what they are. Oh, well, Verdugo's so cold and Stanton's hurt. Stanton's always hurt. You said it before the year that you need to account for Stanton being injured. It's, quote, part of his game is what you said, which I think is one of the underrated, funniest quotes ever. Like, low-key jabs. It's part of his game. Like, yeah, he runs the bases well. He hits for power, hits for average, and he gets hurt. Part of his game. I wasn't describing Stanton, who doesn't run the bases at all. Like, I'm serious. Drastic change is needed. By the way, fire the manager midseason. It's not Boone's fault. No, sorry. But hey, you're a casualty. You can't go 5-14 in a 19-game stretch if you're a championship contender. You just can't do it. And I don't think the Yankees are a championship contender right now. All right. Yeah, like I said, I think the Yankees are closer to this than what they were earlier in the year. That team, that doesn't exist, that team anymore. Stop pretending that that's who they are, and this is just a cold stretch. This is who they are. Maybe not this, but closer to this. All right, like, subscribe, share the podcast. Happy 4th. Buy hats, Huga House. Link in the description. Till next time. See ya.